Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate, and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. I want to tell you a little story about why it's vitally important to have good communication and to make sure that we are prepared to go into places where we're trying to get our point across without being killed, literally. So let's go on a little geography exploration for half a second and talk about the Andaman Islands, which are owned by India. They're in the Bay of Bengal, so you've got Myanmar and India, and in the Bay of Bengal you've got this island, the Andaman Islands, and the Sentinelese tribe lives there. There are 4 or 5 or 6 indigenous tribes that live there. They're considered Negrito, but their descent comes primarily from India and Southeast Asia. So they're hunter-gatherers. As much as people know about this tribe, it's really a no contact, don't mess with us. We really just don't want to be bothered by you. As I said, there's 4, 5, 6 different tribes there on that island. And they're protected. They've got indigenous protections, and people, they have had to put in a 2 or 3 mile barrier around the island, make it illegal for anyone to make contact with them, and to stay away from them because they're protected. They don't want any contact with the outside world, and they really just want to be able to go along and do what they do without having to explain me Lucy to anybody about it or to take on any questions. And they're not interested in anybody's theology or business or new farming technique or anything like that. They're just not. 144 just passed. They're hunter-gatherers, and they know what they're doing, and basically leave us alone, we're good. They have been reported, I'm not sure why they're considered the most violent, other than perhaps because of the story where it's headed. It'll get there eventually, I promise. I'm working on getting better about that. But excuse me, the Onge, which are another tribe, they are actually cannibals. The Senegalese people are not. So keep that in mind, that perceptions can really change how we understand something, and misinformation will absolutely change things because it'll change our perception. They're not cannibals. However, they really flared a few people out this story. So you're talking about an island the size of Manhattan. You've got indigenous peoples there that speak rare languages that are living on that island and nowhere else, and they don't have the diseases that we do. They don't have the issues that we do, and so just stay away from them, leave them alone. That's basically what that is. So, and this is not a commentary on the person that I'm mentioning. It's really not. He had great intention. He just he got sent in and really wasn't ready for what he got. So there's a young man by the name of John Allen Chau. He was a Christian missionary, and he felt a passion that he needed to go and make contact with this no-contact tribe and bring them the gospel, bring them Christianity, that he was desperate, that he knew in his heart that they had to know the Word of God. That was his passion, that was his commitment, and that's what he heard as his internal dialogue is, I have got to go and save these people, because it breaks my heart to think that their eyes would close permanently and they wouldn't know the face of God. So the young man 333 has got great intention. He's got great intention. And I'm making no comment, as I said, beyond that, because his intention was absolutely very good, if not, well prepared for what he got into, because he did not survive that contact. On the third one, it was a third and done. They let him come in twice, and by the third time, they were done entertaining what they considered fools. They laughed and made fun of him the second time, and they didn't entertain the fool the third time. They just killed him, which is tragic. So I'm really not making commentary, and I have a great deal of respect for anybody that has the chutzpah to go into that kind of remote area of the world to begin with, and to canoe up there alone, because there's a barrier around the island, because they're a no contact, they're protected, and others have kind of tried to get in there and caused issues. They're not able to retrieve bodies always. Excuse me, my cat's wanting to get involved in this. Miss Anya wants to be petted. So it's just better, leave them alone. So there's this 3 mile barrier, so 2 miles something, that's around the island, so people understand you can skirt all the way around it. There's no reason to. And he took a canoe and actually fisherman dropped him off and he canoed his way in. So, I mean, I got to hand it to the guy. He gets props for his bravery, his courage, and his passion and commitment to the Word of God as he saw it. That's what he felt like he needed to do, was contact those people and bring them civilization and God. What's wrong with that? And there's not anything wrong with it. It's just when we go someplace and we don't fully understand that the people that we are attempting to contact or make conversation with, or bring our ideology, our thoughts, our process, our beliefs, and we try to push that on them as if it's the end of the world. You've got to get this, you've got to understand this, please, please, you got to know, I've got my waterproof Bible. And the problem is that, I'm going to guess that these are people that had no idea what a Bible was. Well, I'm sure they didn't know what a Bible was, but they more than likely didn't know what a book was. So he's showing up wrong on every level. That, what is this thing you have in your hands? And they shot it with a bow and arrow. Absolutely shot it right there, to the Bible. And that was his second attempt to reach them. Now, he went in, he came correct in the idea that, I have good intention, and he went to a boot camp to ostensibly prepare for this mission of his. And again, no commentary one way or another. It was apparently a big stink, because many people feel like he was just allowed to go make a very unwise choice at the behest of other organizations that were supporting that notion. So, and I didn't go into it deep. I just wanted to get to the story. But he was absolutely, he was actually, murdered in 2018. So it's fairly recent, but. Anyway, the problem is that he went in there and he had gifts, what he considered to be something that people who didn't know what the real world was about, what they would want. What that was, I have no idea. But he did show up with offerings of some kind. But his offering of trying to work their spiritual practice, or, whatever gifts he had, no matter what he brought, they were not interested. They didn't care. They were not inviting in any way. They didn't suggest in their behavior or anything based on the accounts that he was really being received very well. And so what I took from that when I heard about it and then researched it a bit is that there's some risks there. First of all, you're putting them at risk because, they're not used to all of that you are, so you're bringing disease, you're bringing this, you're bringing that. So the idea is that it really may not be the most beneficial when we're communicating with someone or a group or whatever, we're getting our point across and desperately trying, it really may not be in the best interest of that person. That really may not serve them. And if they're really, they're pushing back, it's not serving them, and it doesn't serve to keep pushing, because you have no idea, at what point that turns into something a little more lethal. So, generally speaking, probably, in everyday conversation and everyday life, we probably wouldn't find a bow and arrow immediately. However, you get the idea that at whatever level of, that's going to turn into major confrontation 818, then let's just skip it. Okay. So what ends up happening is this kid showed up and he's brought the gifts, so he's got the right stuff. It's that he does not speak the language. There's very few people that do, except for the ones that live on the island. So he's got no way to really communicate with them in the format that they fully understand. He's coming completely raw, naked, and vulnerable, even though he's got great intention, and it's beautiful, and he's got these gifts. You don't really have the logistics on this to support, what would have really been more helpful probably is to have some sort of an interpreter. And again, this is just about, getting the idea of how we can communicate. This isn't about that young man specifically, because I don't know all the details of it. I just know that it wasn't a successful mission if he never came home. So from his standpoint alone and his parents, I'm sure that was not successful if you were not able to be come home or even brought home. So The way that worked, though, is that if he had been able to have some sort of, an interpreter, or if there had been a way for him to communicate, in a sign language that they used, or an instrument that was indigenous to them or something, because he did notice that there was a different way that they were communicating. They used a lot of high-pitched noises and things like that. And so, the takeaway for me is be looking, very carefully and assessing the scene and seeing, is this causing irritation? Is this what I expected? High-pitched noises and things like that are out of the realm of what normal, for me, communication might be. Is there a style there that I'm not familiar with? That's very different. If I don't know what those high-pitched noises mean, if I don't have a key for understanding that, then I'm really putting myself into a lot of danger, aren't I? And that's part of what the logistics of setting oneself up for success with that tribe, or with a tribe, or communicating with other people, is that, are there going to be points in this conversation where I'm not sure what these cues are? However, I'm thinking that, if I'm not familiar and it's making me a little apprehensive, I probably need to back up and back out. So essentially, though I don't know this young man's story specifically, and I didn't watch the documentary, so there's a great deal of information missing, the overall takeaway just in general that I got is that we desperately want to share our message sometimes. We really do. People that want to share the joy that they feel in their hearts, when they're really tuned in and tapped into their sacred, and they tie that to whatever their theological concepts are, 1111. It's fine that we'd want to be missionaries. There's millions of them across the world, and they've done great work, some of them, many of them, and just like everything else, some haven't. It's just the way that it is. It's just that if we're going to end up being martyred unnecessarily, then, I don't know that if we could speak to him now, I wonder if he would say, well, I might have been okay to trade, not doing it that way, or not doing that at all, and I'll go and find some more receiving people that are more receptive to my message, because he was passionate about it. He was absolutely passionate about it, that he said, I can't possibly let that happen. And even if I die, he knew that there was a great risk to what he was doing, and he was committed, deeply committed. It's just, I don't know, but I wonder what he would say today if we could ask him, would you make that choice today, or would you choose to live longer and share your message? What's most important? Is it sharing the message itself, or is it sharing the message a specific way with that person, that tribe, that group, that company, that corporation, that family, that whatever? Okay, so what is the actual intention? And that's what I got from it. Is, for me personally, I don't know what his intention was, other than that I want to go into deal with the Sinhalese tribe right there. That's exactly what I want to do, and I'm not interested in doing anything else than that. That is what he stated. For me, I think I might have, been willing to wonder if I was meeting resistance on the third time is when he was killed. So I'm thinking maybe, and again, no shame on the dude. It's really not, Miss Anya Kitty. It's that I might have taken an opportunity at that point to kind of look around and say, what's my intention here? What is the goal that I am really trying to reach here? Is that I really want to bring joy and peace and, nirvana to someone else, the doorway to it? Is it that I really want to share that? Or is it that I really want to control who I share that with and how that happens and what it looks like? Sometimes it's really important that it has to be this particular way, that we just know that, and sometimes it's not. For me personally, when I meet resistance, which would be somebody shooting my Bible with an arrow, that would be what I would consider resistance. That if I've made contact a couple of times, and the very word, that I'm attempting to bring, the very word right here, it takes a bow and arrow shot, I think I might have been willing to sit down for a few minutes and wonder, what are my priorities here and what am I trying to get done? Especially if I think that there's any possibility that I could walk away, harmed or not walk away at all. So, though this young man seems to have made, some mistakes in judgment, I certainly do not mean to throw any stank or shade on him. He gets a lot of props for the fact that he was super dedicated. It's just unfortunately, the planet has lost someone that possibly would have chosen differently had they been more aware of what the odds were going in. I don't know. That's just, it left the question, 1444, it posed the question in my mind of, I wonder. And, the Monday morning quarterback, again, it's just, it's a thought-provoking thing that would I do the same thing as him? Would I stay that dedicated? Because I'm pretty passionate. I'm pretty passionate about things, and, I don't let go easily. But I've also learned that you keep chewing on something that you needed to have let go of, and it might shoot you with an arrow that you weren't expecting. So, there's something to be learned from that. And there's something to be learned too with my cat getting ready to take over this whole operation here. She's obnoxious like that. So, anyway, food for thought. Take care of yourselves, whatever part of the day you're in, and get within your skin, friend, because your divine is absolutely fine. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.